Good day, everyone. I am Darren Isabel C. Membreve, and I will be reporting about the principles of management, specifically equity, stability, and initiative. First things first, let us define or review what is educational management. Now, educational management involves planning, organizing, directing, and controlling resources to achieve institutional goals. Effective educational leadership relies on key elements or principles that ensure a well-functioning learning environment. So among these principles, we have equity, stability, and initiative, which I will be discussing later on so that we will understand how crucial these principles have in its role in fostering inclusive, efficient, and innovative educational system. So now let us discuss the first principle, which is equity. So equity in education, it refers to fairness, justice, and inclusivity in the treatment of students, teachers, and the staff. So it ensures that all individuals, regardless of their background, gender, social economic status, or abilities, have access to quality education and opportunities for growth. Now, we also have here the importance of equity. First is it boosts employee morale. So what does that mean? So in boosting employee morale, employees should be treated fairly, which means they are more motivated and engaged in their work. So of course, as an employee myself, if I will be treated fairly among the rest of the other employees, I would want to work better. I would want to work harder and be motivated and engaged in my work. So the second importance is it reduces workplace conflicts. So having fair treatment fosters a positive work environment and minimizes disputes caused by favoritism or discrimination. Third importance is it enhances productivity. So employees who believe that they are being valued and treated justly are more likely also to perform at their best. And also, it promotes diversity and inclusion. So equity encourages a diverse workforce, allowing people of different backgrounds to contribute effectively. So we also have here different examples of equity in the work environment or in educational management. So first is equal pay for equal work. What does that mean? So employees performing the same tasks with the same qualifications should receive the same compensation regardless of their gender, race, or other factors to avoid discrimination in the workplace. Second, fair promotion policies. So opportunities for career growth should be based on performance and qualifications and not favoritism. Workplace inclusivity. So creating an environment where all employees feel valued regardless of their background or identity is very important in this principle of management, which is equity. Now, there are also challenges that may arise in this principle. So we have the first challenge or problem that we may encounter in equity. So we have limited resources. So financial constraints may hinder equal distribution of learning materials and opportunities. Resistance to change, that's number 2. So some institutions or some schools may struggle to shift from traditional unequal systems. And third is implicit biases. So unconscious prejudices and also wrong decision-making process can affect the admissions, hiring, and resource allocation. So among these challenges, what should be the strategies for us to be enhancing this principle of equity? First, implement teacher training programs on diversity and inclusivity. So those are very important to also help the teachers become aware and develop their skills and knowledge on this principle. Then establish clear anti-discrimination policies in hiring and student admissions, and develop special education programs to support students with learning disabilities. So all of those are under the principle of management, which is equity. So next, I will be discussing stability. So the second principle of management is stability, which means job security and institutional consistency, and also sustainable policies that ensure long-term growth and effectiveness. So it applies both the administrative and instructional levels, ensuring continuity in teaching, leadership, and school policies. So now, what are the importance of this principle of stability? So first is it encourages employee loyalty. So what does that mean? So in this first importance, workers are more likely to stay in an organization when they feel secure in their jobs. So am I right? So as an employee, we can all relate to this. Of course, if we don't feel secured in our job, why would we stay, right? So in stability, if we feel secured, that is also the time that we will likely stay in this institution or in this job. Then next is reduces hiring and training costs. So high turnover results in continuous recruitment and training, which can be costly. And stability in educational management, it helps retain skilled employees. Next, increases productivity. So employees who are not worried about losing their jobs can focus better on their work. Next, it fosters educational or organizational growth. So stability allows organizations to build a strong, experienced workforce that contributes to long-term success. Now, what are the examples under stability? We have first, equal pay for equal work. So you notice that the examples in equity and stability are quite similar or the same, but I will still discuss it further. So in equal pay for equal work under stability, this means ensuring employees are fairly compensated and helps retain those talents. Fair promotion policies. So transparent career growth paths will give employees a sense of stability, of course. Third, workplace inclusivity. So a welcoming and fair work environment, this reduces turnover and also creates a sense of belonging. So equity and stability are interconnected. So equity fosters fairness while stability ensures long-term job security, being stable. And organizations or institutions should implement these principles effectively to have a more motivated workforce, reduced turnover, and increased productivity. So next, I will be discussing initiative as a principle of management. Okay, so before we continue to the third principle of management that I am assigned to, I will mention first the challenges and strategies for ensuring stability. So let's continue. What are the challenges in maintaining stability in educational management? First is we have the political and policy changes. So government interventions and new regulations may lead to instability. So that is the first problem that may arise. Next is budget constraints. So financial instability, this can lead to staff layouts, resource shortages, and program cuts. Next is rapid technological changes. So we are in this modern world. There are a lot of changes in terms of technological advancements, and the need to adapt to these new technological changes may disrupt the traditional systems that we are used to. So those are the problems or challenges that we may face in maintaining stability. So what are the strategies to ensure stability? First is develop succession planning to ensure smooth transitions in leadership. Second, establish financial sustainability plans to manage resources effectively. Third, promote teacher professional development to maintain a skilled and stable workforce. So those are all under stability as a principle of management. Now let us move on to the third principle, which is initiative. So initiative, it refers to the ability of educational leaders, teachers, and students to take independent actions, suggest improvements, and introduce innovations in the learning process. So it is very essential, it is very important for creating a dynamic and progressive educational environment. So what are the importance, or how important is educational management? The principle of educational management, which is initiative. So first, it encourages innovation. So by allowing individuals to take initiative, schools can develop new teaching methods, curriculum improvements, and administrative strategies. Second, it empowers teachers and students. So initiative fosters a sense of ownership and responsibility, making both educators and learners more engaged. Third, it enhances problem-solving abilities. So when people take initiative, also when teachers or even the students take initiative, we will learn to think critically, analyze situations better, and find solutions to our problems. Next, develop future leaders. So encouraging initiative, it helps cultivate leadership skills among students and educators, preparing us for higher responsibilities. So now, what are the examples of initiative in education? We have first, the teacher-led curriculum improvements. So teachers can design and adapt lesson plans to better suit students' needs instead of strictly following those traditional methods. So we are responsible for that. We should take initiative for that action. Next is student leadership programs. So schools can encourage students to take leadership roles, such as organizing clubs, events, or even peer mentorship programs. So third, innovative teaching approaches. So educators can implement new teaching styles, such as project-based learning, or even integrating technology in the classroom. And lastly, we have administrative innovations in classrooms. So school leaders can introduce policies that improve the efficiency of school management such as digital record keeping or new student support programs. So now, what are the challenges that may arise in encouraging initiative as a principle of management? First, resistance to change. So of course, people can often prefer the familiar or the traditional methods that they are used to and may hesitate to adapt to new ideas, fearing that they may disrupt the already existing systems. So that is the first challenge. Next, second is fear of failure. So of course, many teachers and students, we hesitate to take initiative or to take action because we worry about making mistakes or being judged or criticized of our work. Third, lack of support and resources. So that could also be a problem because without proper funding, without proper training, or even encouragement from the school administration, taking initiative can be very difficult. So what could be the possible solutions for those challenges? So to overcome all of these challenges, educational institutions should first promote a growth mindset. So what does that mean? So institutions should encourage the students and teachers to see failure as a learning opportunity rather than a setback. So they need motivation, they need encouragement. Next, provide training and support. So of course, we will be more confident if we are well-trained, if we are well knowledgeable or equipped as educators with the necessary skills and resources to implement new ideas. Next is create an open and inclusive environment. So we should be allowed to have a space for discussions, feedback, open forum to discuss our problems or challenges and provide solutions for that, and also have an experimentation rather on teaching and learning. So now, all of those principles of management that I have discussed contribute to the success, sustainability, and progress of educational institutions. So first, let us review again. Equity. It ensures fairness, inclusivity, and access for quality education for all, regardless of their background, gender, or other factors. Stability. It fosters continuity in leadership, curriculum, and institutional operations. And lastly, we have initiative, which promotes creativity, problem solving, and proactive decision making. So now, by implementing these principles, educational management or educational institutions can create a positive learning environment, retain skilled educators, and develop innovative teaching and administrative strategies. So there may be challenges that may arise. There may be challenges that we may encounter as we apply these principles, but proactive policies and leadership can help overcome them, ensuring that we will be well managed and have a progressive educational system. So those are all my report. Thank you for listening, and we will move to the next topic. Thank you.